Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So before we start with our project, I just wanted to share with you that we had a snowstorm last night. So it's April 18th. All the flowering trees are blooming here in New England, and my plum tree is beautifully pink and white with the snow. So this is a first for me. I've lived here a long time. However, I've never seen my flowering tree with snow on it before, and it's actually kind of pretty. So I thought I'd share that. I think we're all kind of sort of obsessed with the weather these days because we just want to make sure we have a nice day so we can go outside and get some air. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you. So I hope you're having good weather near you. I actually think this is very pretty. All right, I'm going to move my phone. Here's our project. Oops, let me pull out. Here we go. We're going to do a double spiral today. So this is we did the single spiral last video, and it just was so beautiful. And you posted such beautiful pictures on Facebook. Thank you for doing that. It's just so wonderful to see your projects. I'm so glad you're enjoying them. So I thought we'd do the double, and this is the double, and it's done with all 11-0 seed beads, and the core is an 8-0 seed bead. I think it works out best with the smaller seed bead because you are doubling it, so you need to have space to fit all your beads. So how easy? Yeah, you know, if you have 10 grams of 11-0s, so 5 grams of each color, and just enough 8-0s to make your core, pretty much that's something we always have in our stash anyway. You can actually use all your stash beads for this, which I think is great. And it's so much fun to do, and it's not hard. I did the same glue in end caps, but you can really put any clasp on that you like. All right, so I'm going to clear the decks, and we're going to get started making this double spiral rope bracelet. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell if you enjoy my channel. Thanks, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you'll need 2 11-0 seed beads, and I'm using, or I did use for this one, a gunmetal and a silver and an 8-0. I used the 8-0 as silver one as my core bead. You'll need, so I'm giving you all the materials for this bracelet. You'll need a clasp and these glue-in end caps if you have them. They're about a 6.5 millimeter interior diameter. You want at least 6.5. Maybe you can even go up to 7 inner diameter. Just want to make sure you can fit it on the end. Some jump rings, of course, I already said the clasp. You need some jewelry and metal glue if you're going to use this clasp. You can use any clasp you like. I just find this is the easiest for me, and I think it looks really pretty. You'll need a stop bead, some 8-pound Fireline, size 10 beading needle. Now I am using, for the demonstration, 6-0 as my core bead and 2 8-0s as my in different colors as my spiral bead. And just to show you the difference, so here's a piece that I made using the 8-0s with the 6-0 core bead. And here it is next to the other one. So I'm using the big ones for demonstration purposes, but it's even pretty huge. So if you want a big bracelet, even with the 8-0s, I think it's pretty. So either way, what I'm giving you is everything that you're going to use to do the 11-0s. Now, because it's so seed bead intensive, I took a 10-gram tube of 11-0 seed beads and I filled it. And, I weighed everything, made sure that it was just about 10 grams. And this is what I used for my bracelet. I used half of it. So I used about 5 grams each of each color. So 5 grams of the gunmetal, 5 grams of the silver. For my about 7-inch bracelet, the beaded part of my bracelet is about 6 inches. So if you want to bead 6 inches, you'll need at least 5 grams of each color. I'd get a little extra just in case. So if you go up from there, or you'll be going down from there if you have a smaller wrist. Okay, so I think that's everything. So I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get started. Now, of course, I think you can find everything here in your stash. However, I put all materials and colors just in case you happen to like these colors. Put everything in the description box below the video as I usually do. All right. Oh, you also need a little flat nose pliers just to open your jump rings. So that's about it. All right, so I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get started. Let's get started. So it's basically the same thing, only we're going to be adding 2 spirals on each time we grow the core part of our bracelet. So we're going to pick up 4 of our 6-0s, or you're going to pick up your 8-0s, like that, and then 7 of the 8-0s. or 7 of the 11 O's. Like that. I drop those down. I'm just going to sew back up through all 4 core beads. So just the 4. Like that. That's going to add my side beads on. Now I know when I did the single, I said that, you know, sort of a rule of thumb, not sure, is to make this, the spiral, a little bit smaller than this. I think it's sort of just the opposite with this, or it doesn't matter. Do you see how thick this comes out? So you know, it covers the entire the entire core bead section, whereas when you look at the single, that's an integral part of the bracelet, is that core, seeing it wrap around the core. So this one, it's a little bit longer, the spiral's a little bit longer than the core beads. All right, so now we're just going to go to our other color and pick up 7. So 7 of this color, and just coming back up through the core beads. So I haven't added any other core beads on yet. Just want to get these 2 down, these 2 on the sides, so just like that. So this is what your starting piece is going to look like. And you know what? I'm just going to let you get to that point, because some of you may not have done this before. So get to that point and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, so I have 7 of my one color on one side of this core and 7 of my other. I'm going to be going in this direction, so core bead, yellow, red, and so on. So I want my yellow beads to be on the right side and the red beads to be on the left side. I'm going to pick up a core bead. So that's the 6/0 or the 8/0. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my first bead, so the yellow bead. I'm going to drop those down. So I'm dropping it down to that next core bead, like that. I'm going to go back 4. So the one I put on the previous 3, I'm not going to go up to the last one. I'm just going to go through these 4. I'm going to pull, make sure that strand goes in front of, on top of the previous yellow one. So you see how that's right there? It's going to go right on top, and it's always going to look like that, where it's going to be on top. Now all I'm going to do, and I'm going to pull in, is just I'm going to take my entire piece like this and flip it over so that the red beads are on the right side. Okay, not going to pick up a core bead. I'm going to pick up 7 of my red beads. Like that. I'm going to go back 4 and sew up through the last 4 core beads. See how that sits in front of the red, the previous red group? Now I'm going to take my piece, I'm going to flip it over again so that the yellow beads are on the right again. Now I'm going to pick up a core bead and 7 of my smaller beads. I'm going to drop those down. And if it flies out of your hand like that, don't worry about it. Just make sure when you put it back in your hand that I'm glad that happened, that your yellow beads are on the right. You see how the yellow lines are on top of each other? So here they're on the right. I'm just going to go back 4, so the one I put on in the previous 3. Like that. And I want to make sure that these pop in front of the yellow beads. So you notice, like, do you see how when you put the beads on, each successive one is higher, so you know you're doing it right. So lower, higher, and a little bit higher, like that. I'm going to flip it back over so that my red beads are on the right. I'm going to pick up 7 red beads. My 7 red beads, exiting here, not adding another core bead. I'm just going back 4, going through the 4 core beads, and I'm just going to pull and see how that sits on, see how the red now is also lower, higher, higher, and that's how it's just going to be going the whole way around. So I just want you to get to this point and then come back and we'll do a few more rows together just to get, to get it, to make it a little easier for you to see where you bead. Back. So we'll just do a couple more rounds of this. So let's say you've put it down and you're not sure where you ended. So the last two spirals I put on were this red one and this one. So if I pull on this one, it's pretty tight, the yellow one, but if I pull on the red one, it's loose. So that means that was my last spiral I put on. So you want to make sure that you're on the yellow at this point. So see how when I pull this, it's loose, this one's tight, so you know that's your last round. I don't know, maybe it's obvious, but those things help me out. All right, so let's do a couple more rows. So core and 7 beads. Drop those down. Just going to go up the last 4, so the one I put on and the previous 4, the previous 3, excuse me. Like that. I'm going to flip it over to my red side. Like that. And if you notice, it's starting to get tight, and not, well, tight, but busy in there. Do you see what I mean? How you're starting to cover up the core, right? So you don't really see the core bead in the double, but you do see it. It's a real part of the one in the single. So you're going to have to work your way in there to get your beads in. So I'm up to the red side, so I'm going to pick up my 7. So here are my 7 beads, and you're going to have to sort of excavate your way in. You may even have to pull your spirals aside a little bit to get down. See how I'm sort of digging down in there to get to my core beads? And when you do it, so here I got it, and you're just going to, you can get it. It's just, you just have to, fight it a little bit, but it's not bad. Actually, it's kind of fun trying to get in there. And when you're using 11/0s, it's going to be even more difficult. You might have to switch to a smaller needle, a size 12 beading needle, just to be able to slip it in, because as you see, as it spirals around, it's going to cover all those beads. So I'm going to flip. This side still is open enough that it's not a problem. So here I'm going to do my 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my core bead and my 7 yellow beads. Drop them down. Gonna go back 4. So the one I put on and the 3 previous. Gonna flip. And again, see how we're getting, this side is getting full. Pick up 7 of your red beads, 7, and then you're just going to, if you have to open it up a little bit, it's not a big deal, and just sort of kind of dig your needle in there. And it's at certain times when you're filling up these beads, it's easier, or as you're spiraling around, it's easier to get in them or harder. So don't worry about it, that's perfectly normal. So here I have those on. Going to flip and say this is where I am at this point. So you're just going to continue doing that until you have, the length of your bracelet, of course, minus your clasp. Just a note, make sure that you measure it very well, put it around your wrist, use a ruler, measure everything, because when I made this one, I put the clasp on, it was too short, and I had glued it in, and luckily it wasn't completely glued, and I pulled it out, but I do have like a little messy glue bits around, around the edges that I've been sort of scraping off over time. So just be sure that doesn't happen to you. Just, measure it really well. So get your length done. Just keep going, get your length done, and then meet me back here, and I'll just give you some tips on getting the clasp ends on. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so I've gotten a little bit of my big sort of sample done, and I'm going to show you how to put the ends on in a minute. Not on this, of course. If you want to do one of these end caps of this, you're going to need a lot bigger than so that's about a 6.5, 7 millimeter opening. You'll probably need about a 10 to get, if you want to use this, or just put a just connect a toggle and loop on like that, or whatever clasp you like. So I just want to show you how to end off the thread here. So we're exiting, of course, the core. We just put our strand, our spiral on. So I'm just going to come down one of the spirals here, just all the way down all the beads, so all 7 of those beads. And then I'm going to go back up the last 4 core beads. So you see, just retracing my steps sort of there a little bit, see? And then you can do the same thing on this side. Let's see, should we do that one? Yeah, let's do that one. Okay, so that's the one, the yellow one. Like that. Okay, and then you can go up the last 4. So I'm having to sort of dig in here, or at this point, so I'm trying to find the best way to do this. At this point, I don't think you need to go up again. I think see I'm exiting this little yellow one. If you can get your needle under in between 2 of the core beads, and I'm just getting it in there, you can make a little half hitch knot, make a loop, and then a half hitch knot. Make sure it goes in between those 2 core beads, and then I've sort of bent it over a little bit, and then I'm just going to just sew up through a couple of beads. This is so wound around that I don't think you really need to worry too much. Then you could just clip that thread off. All right, so that's probably a good way of sewing it, of sewing your threads in. All right, so I'm going to put this guy aside. So I have a little sample here that I did with 11 O's and the 8 O core beads. So I'm not going to actually glue it in, but just for those of you who haven't seen it, I just take the jewelry glue or the 6000, fill it about halfway. Make sure you get it around the edges. Maybe use a little toothpick to get it around the edge. Just pop it on. Do the same thing with this side. So I've got glue inside. Pop it on. Just going to take my jump rings and add my toggle and my loop right there. In some cases you might have to add 2 or 3 jump rings here to fit the toggle bar through the loop. That's with all toggle bars and loops. You just have to, play with it a little bit. On this one I just had to add 1. All right, so there's our double spiral rope. How cool is that? This is so much fun. I can't wait to get back to my necklace. I just think it's beautiful. Here's the single. So either way or both would make beautiful bracelets, beautiful necklaces. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun making this and post it on Facebook, and I will definitely see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.